Let's take a look through the morning papers now. Here with us is Jamie Breese, a columnist for the Sunday Mirror. Good to see you, Jamie.
Good to see you, Anna.
Let's kick off with your first choice, your selection this morning in The Independent, talking about yesterday's strike at the BBC.
Yes, it's all changed at the BBC, Anna. A former employee of mine, and anyone would have think, having read the paper today, that the world had come to an end. And the Indie's gone right in early on page 6 with a review of the Today programme, competitor, of course, on the radio. And it's more of an homage to the Today programme, John Humphrys et al. And interestingly enough, it says here, which I wasn't aware of, that commanders of nuclear submarines turn to the Today programme for proof that British civilisation has not been wiped out, which is really interesting. It's some sort of, you know, monitoring device. So
yes, I heard about that yesterday.
Yes.
Seems extraordinary, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But, so this is a review, basically, of the programming yesterday,
yes,
with different faces popping up and different schedule. What's
yes,
the verdict? I mean, did they like it, or
well,
a refreshing change? Or
they sincerely missed the Today programme. I think a lot of people do it. It's kind of part of the sort of the breakfast routine in this country. But it was interesting at the top of the piece as well, the review, that Emma Crosby, former Sky News presenter and GMTV presenter, has kind of brought in to helm the BBC One o'clock news, which is interesting. So it really was all changed, and many of the stars had walked out. Of course, this is over the pensions battle at the moment. And,
that's right, and on strike again today over that issue. The NUJ still haven't resolved that issue with the BBC. I must say, I listen to the radio a lot, and it felt a little bit like it was a bank holiday or Christmas Day or something, because it's such different programmes. I feel I don't have my oxygen without the news. Let's move on, shall we, to the Daily Mail. And this is... we've just been talking about President Obama's visit to India. The Daily Mail focuses on the cost of it, doesn't it?
It does. It's a really good, strong, picture-led piece here with my old paper, the Daily Mail. And they've got some diagrams and some breakouts and box outs featuring, apparently, according to widespread reports, there are 34 warships accompanying President Obama. And this includes 2 aircraft carriers, which is kind of quite extreme. They go into great detail about the value and the...
How many warships?
Well, I did that as well. I did a bit of a double take there.
Because I thought there might be one, but
there
I hadn't realised...
34.
It does say 34.
Okay.
Some other papers said that as well, apparently. And it's just absolutely astonishing. Warships, aircraft carriers. Apparently, that quantity of floating armoury is equivalent to the Royal Navy's entire fleet.
Well, I know that there are 240 US chief executives also travelling with the President,
yes,
and obviously the President himself seen as being worth protecting too. So you'd understand a lot of security.
I can sincerely understand. I just think it would be much easier to put some hot air balloons on the White House and some of the grounds and just sort of float them over there gently. Far more peaceful journey as well.
But quite interesting that this trip is looking to secure investment. Perhaps they should just stay at home.
Yeah.
Save a lot of money, $200 million a day.
Exactly. It's probably balances out about the same, doesn't it? I don't
It does
think you
sound
see
like an
Cameron
awful lot. I'm interested in the Beast. That's the car that carries him around, which they talk about here. It's supposed to be the safest vehicle apart from a tank that exists. Let's move on, shall we, and talk about graffiti.
Ah, yes, of course. My hometown, Bristol, spawned a graffiti artist. Bit controversial, this, because everyone has mixed feelings about what is essentially vandalism. But Bristol was put on the world map last summer because there was an exhibition of Banksy's works. He now sells frequently to Brangelina and so forth for over £100,000. Interestingly enough, there's a book which has come out which features some of his competitors, people who've been influenced by him, and features some great pictures of graffiti around the world. Interestingly enough, his latest piece on the wall, according to the Sun here, it was on a wall of a hotel in Torquay, Devon, last week, and it increased the value of the building by up to 150,000 bags of sand, which is amazing. So it's interesting that...
So they've got lots of imitators as well, wanting to try to do the same thing.
I mean, there's a whole movement. Banksy was just one of many, but it did stem from Britain. It's one of our great exports, ironically. I went to a charity auction, it's one of my kind of businesses' auctions, and I went to one last year, and just a piece of wood tagged, which is just sprayed with a stencil of Banksy, by Banksy, handed over by him, so it was original, that sold for nearly £2,000.
Wow. And he's still pretty much undercover, isn't he? Do people still not know what he looks like? And
yeah, there's been various attempts to out him, but he's managed to keep his identity almost completely out of the general media. But no, very, very few people know who he is. I mean, he's a young man, he's from Bristol, and that's about it. And he makes a lot of money. He does
very well, doesn't he? Let's move on, shall we? That was the story in The Sun. The Daily Mirror next. This is a terrible story, isn't it? That the Mount Merapi volcano erupting again and leaving another trail of devastation.
I went again, you know, a very strong picture in my paper, The Mirror. And we've got, I went to Auschwitz last week, and the images remind me very, very similar of that, just bodies lying around. It's very, very brave photojournalism, something you don't see so often these days.
Well, yes, and The Mirror picks out some of those sort of rather touching images of just a pair of sandals that have been left as people try to escape. And, I mean, Indonesia has had its fair share of tragedies, hasn't it, with this volcano erupting twice now, and also an earthquake in the last few weeks as well. The death toll does continue to rise.
You know, the rage of natural terror, I suppose, and reminds us that we're quite humble in front of, you know, the most primeval forces, which are volcanoes. They form the planet, and here they are taking us again. It's, you know, really sad piece, and covered excellently with some very strong images.
Very striking images there in The Mirror, and that story picked up by a number of the other papers as well. Let's take a look inside the Daily Star now. This is Michael Jackson's new album. Obviously, tracks recorded before his death, obviously, and now all put onto an album. And taking on Take That.
Yes, I have to say, I used to have a personal interest in this. He once signed a copy of Bad for me. It's a long story, and he left it on his floor when he went to Hawaii on holiday or on tour, and his cat peed on it. So he gave me both copies, and he wrote on the second one, "To Jamie, sorry about the cat, love Michael." And it was sold a few years ago, before he passed away, for a few £100. Now it's worth thousands. And fortunately, it was bought by a children's hospital director, so it's going to go on and spread some goodwill.
What happened to the one that was peed on by the cat?
He sent that to me as well.
And you've still got that one?
No, I gave them both to the hospital. Right. Yeah, but that's an interesting thing, of course, increases the value of something down the line. Interestingly enough, this is from Sony Records. It's all above board. It's not a bootleg. It sounds like it might be. But it says here that his mother, Catherine, who's 80, she's branded it as a fake. She says it features imposters' vocals, which is hard to believe, but it's his mother saying this. And, of course, it's the big battle for #1's Christmas spot as well, between Take That.
Yes, this is the album spot, because I presume the X Factor winner is going to have a say.
Yeah,
in the
hang on,
single
yes, of course, that's right, but it doesn't mention here, but I think, it's going to be a battle between the X Factor guys, for sure, yeah.
Good stuff, we're going to leave it there. Jamie Breese, very nice to see you. Thanks very much indeed for coming in and taking us through your selection of Saturday morning's papers.
Thank you, Anna.
Now, let's update you on our top stories here on Sunrise Now. And David Cameron's communications director, Andy Coulson, has been interviewed